that loud for?
Because he rolled down the hill.
Jakey Potatoes here, and I am the Pneumatic Hunter. And in today's episode, we're going to leave the studio here and head into the workshop. We have two air guns that were sent to us by Steve from Airgun Evolution that are having some issues that he'd like us to take a look at. The first is a Benjamin Marauder. It is 25 caliber and it has some leaky seals. We're going to take a look at that one. The second one is Benjamin Bulldog. That has some accuracy issues. It might be a little bit more involved, but we're going to tear it down. We're going to look inside, see what's up, and we're going to do some testing and get to the bottom of it. Hopefully we can take both of these air guns and return them in better condition than they were given to me. So, without further ado, and it's getting hot out here, especially wearing this, let's beat feet and go to the workshop where there's air conditioning. And here is the Benjamin Marauder. First time I've ever seen one of these. Actually, it's second time when he showed it to me. But what a beautiful... Well, if this was the gun with the accuracy issues, I'd say I found your problem, but... Okay, so I have put the moderator on, just because. And the next thing I'm going to do is bring it up to 1,000 psi and leave it overnight. See if it drops in pressure. I think that's a good place to start, because I have no idea what I'm doing, and I don't know if there's actually a scientific way of approaching this. But who cares? This is down in the basement.
During the recording of this segment, I was upgrading my PC. Through sheer incompetence, I deleted the clip where I brought the pressure up to 1,000 psi and allowed it to sit overnight. Fortunately, nothing excited happened, and we can proceed to 2,000 psi. Oh, look, typo.
Alright, it's been overnight. We're still at 2,000, which is good. No leaky seals yet. Time to take it over to the crony and see what we get there. Let's go.
These are the readings firing across the crony at 2,000 psi. We have an average of 654 feet per second with a spread of 15 feet per second, all with 31 grain pellet in 25 cal.
Alright, that went well. The rifle functions. So far it's holding pressure. The next thing I'm going to do is bring it up to 3,000 psi, let it sit overnight, then we'll bring it to the range, run some across the crony, take some readings, compare them to what I can find on the internet, and this may just call it a day. I mean, this is just, there may be nothing wrong with this, which, that's the best problem you can have, is no problem. So, off to the compressor, and then overnight. We'll see you tomorrow. Alright, here we are again with the Marauder, this time at 3,000 psi. Let's take a few readings and see if there's any differences. $769. $774. $755. $761. Alright, that's not too bad. Now, before I close out this section of the Marauder video, I think it's fair to give this gun its due diligence. I'm sad to say that I passed by this particular gun through my progression in through the PCP world, and I recommend this gun to anybody who wants to start out in the air gunning sport. It's a solid gun. The accuracy is repeatable. It's got good balance. I love the reaction, the action of the bolt and racking up another round. There's just something about it that's so smooth and it feels good, and I really think this gun has got some serious potential. I'd like to see what it does at long range, but that's gonna have to wait for when I got a few extra bucks kicking around, but I see that in the cards. So with that said, We're going to go on to the next portion of the video, which is the Benjamin Bulldog, and I hope you enjoy. And here we have the Benjamin Bulldog, ready to be repaired. Let's see what we've got. We've got the gun itself, we'll get back to that. We've got a sling, bipod, bag of parts. Looks like an adapter of some sort. Nothing in there. Oop. Well then, a wallet. I'm gonna have to edit that part out. Here's the Benjamin Bulldog. It's got accuracy issues, which we're gonna take a look at. What a beautiful gun this is. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take the air out. Inside of here is an Allen screw. It's hard to find, but you'll find it. Just loosen it. Only a quarter turn. And that's it. Walk away. Well, first thing, let's get this shroud off. There's our lower Picatinny and Donnie FL adapter right here. Yep. But the issue with this gun here is that the accuracy out to 50 yards is fine, but once 50 yards is achieved, it just opens up in shot groups. So I don't see anything wrong with this half.
I want to take a little bit of time to reflect. At the time of the recording, I was talking about the trigger safety and the spring, and actually got sidetracked and went into a long tirade about springs and all their different uses. So let's just get right back to the teardown.
So what I've gone and done is put on some rubber bands to hold the trigger mechanism in place, because this part is plastic, and let's face it, I don't want to break it. We're going to lift this out of the other half. Put that off to the side for now. So now that we're at the internal meaty bits of this fine piece of equipment, we're going to remove the reservoir, just because it's not my gun and I get to take it apart. Here we are. Let's take a look inside. Alright, what is that? Is this a deep hanger? I'm gonna have to make a phone call, ask him what this is. I don't think that's native to this. If that's the case, and that's what he was shooting here, if that's the deep hanger, there may be a problem right there, because this deep hanger is what I installed in mine. And this is the front of the tube. So the instructions tell you, insert this end here in with this sleeve to follow. And what that does is, each time you drain the air from using a shot on this side of the tube, here, let me get this out of the way. Okay, so this is how it's going to be. And what Let me try to explain this in a way that I can understand. When you fire this gun without the depinger installed, the shock wave of the air leaving through the poppet valve, I believe that's what you call it, the shock wave resonates back and forth inside this reservoir and causes the ping. By installing this baffle, because that's all a depinger is, it limits that resonance to this area here, not the entire tube. This sleeve prevents the depinger from slowly sliding down each time you shoot, because when you shoot, the pressure in here drops, pressure here still greater. These holes, that doesn't mean anything. Air is powerful, especially at 3000 psi. Works this way until you get all the way down here and nothing leaves the barrel. This is installed in here, which to me, based on this extremely small hole, this is maybe a regulated depinger, but you can see the clear volume that is missing with this installed. I'm gonna have to ask him about this. That could be a very big problem with accuracy, because these are heavy pellets. Good thing to see. My bad. I had already seeded this before I realized that I didn't hit record, so you just have to deal with the halfway part. But trust me, this part here I think is the hardest of it all, getting it seeded past those first few threads. I'm going to use a scientific tool here. It's the backside of my pliers, because they're covered in rubber, and that's just what makes me feel a little bit safer. We're going to push that down. Oh, yeah, there we go. Broke you free. Come on, come on. Get. That's a tight fit. Let's try this. Okay, need a big hammer. Okay, so here we've got our piece of pipe we're going to use as a punch, a drift punch, so to speak. And since we have the big hammer, it'll move like nothing. Yep. Don't even need to put it against anything. It's just all that mass. Oh yeah. Gonna check our depth. We're in that far already. You know, it probably wouldn't hurt to take the tube, which is right here, and match it up somewhere there. Let's do it real quick. Okay, so we're going to take into account our threads, which is right here. Okay, we're going to put that right there, get a guesstimate right about there. Then we're going to take our tube, we're going to add our tube to that, which comes right about there. Now, if I had some tape over here, which I'm quite sure I did. Huh. Well, I can clearly tell you this is not how to do an educational video. Oh well, I'll be right back. Alright, we're back. I found some colored tape. It's probably not too PC. Well, we'll use some of this cheap Chinese tape. And we'll just get a general idea where this end of the depinger needs to stop, which will be roughly right about here. Now you could mark here with tape, but well, I do things backwards and difficult because that's just the way it is. Check our depth. We still have another few inches to go. Many centimeters. Now people will ask me, is that carefully measured out or done by eye? In the famous words of somebody whom I completely forget, it's carefully measured out by eye. Now it's okay if you go a little bit past where it should be. See, right there. A little bit past. We'll go just a little bit more, only to prove a point that that depinger will work its way back to the receiver. Be a nice little happy medium. Get its Goldilocks zone just right. And this is the retainer. Then we can check inside by viewing the threads. Does the retainer stop before the threads, during the threads, after the threads, or right on the threads? And I think you're going to find out that it don't get any better than that. Yeah, okay. So we'll take our yellow tape off. And let's get this thing back together. Now I like to check this O-ring here for debris. Okay, we're going to give that a little tight. Yeah. Okay, she's snug. It's the end of part one.
Here I've taken the liberty of snapping both halves together onto the receiver off camera, and that involves lining up the trigger and all the springs and miscellaneous internal components. I've also tightened down the stock, as you can see here. Be careful when putting in the screws, because you'll notice that there are different screws with different heads and different lengths. They all have their own particular place to go.
And it's that time. Put the shroud on. We've got our shroud, our barrel supports. We've got our support limiter high-tech tape. And here we go. Will this go back together? And if it does, how difficult will it be? Funky barrel shroud design. Should probably get some KY gun lube, but there we go. Oh, there we go, right in. Our pan head screw. And a couple more little tiny things like this here, because I don't know, I don't even have this on mine. Probably doesn't even go to this. But just for S&J's, we're gonna do it. make sure our little bleed off screw is properly torqued. Stupid little cap nobody likes, but if they would just put a nub right here so these big ham hocks could have a button to push, I wouldn't care. I personally like it. It gives it a sleek look. Alright, little trigger adjustment cover. Go back on. What do you call this thing? The ass hat? No, ass cap. That really just ties it all together. Let's see, anything loose? Everything feels tight. Good quick rub down with some cleaner. Get my paw prints off. There's the final adjustment on the trigger. You might like it. Anyway, it's all together. Time to fill it up. And I've heard rumor that when you fill it up, always cock it. We'll find out. Okay, this is going to be our zeroing shot. I'm going to choose that little crayon dot. Shoo-wee. Thing hits like a freight train. I'm going to adjust it. Okay, that first shot I didn't realize I was still on 100 yards. So we're going to go ahead and we've got it set at our 33 yards and we're going to try again. Okay, let's go put it back up. Okay, and we're back. There's our target at 33 yards for setting it in. We are down to 2,700 psi, which is right about where optimum shots are made with this gun, in my experience anyway. And there's our target at 50 yards. Okay, we're at max zoom. And we're going to go ahead and see if we can put one on the target. These are 142 grain Nosler polytip ammo. Let's see if we can hit our target. Moment of truth. Yeah, I hit it. I didn't even adjust for my distance. Let's try adjusting for distance. "59 yards. I know that's not true. There we go. Huh. Well, 52 yards is close enough for me. Here we go with another round. Let's see if we can maintain our accuracy. Oh, wow. Magazine change already. Running light mags. Okay. It's not too bad. Let's push it out to 100. Here we are at 100 yards. Safety off. Let's see if we can even hit the damn thing. There's one. Two. That's a clear miss. That's a hit. And that's it. Down to 2,000 psi. Okay, here we are. Final results of the Benjamin Bulldog. I'm using my moderator on that. Thank you for having it all set up. Nice. Here we've got my scope on it, which it's just nice. Then we've got our 50-yard group of 3. Sacrilege group of 3, I'm told. And then we've got our group of 5 at 100 yards. And I missed right there somewhere. I know I missed. I'll admit it. But we've got here, 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 and here. That's on target at 100 yards, which was way down there. And that's how we do.
This was certainly a fun project. After I cleaned up the gun, I decided to get the borescope out and check it, take a look inside. This is a view of the barrel before I cleaned and polished it. You'll see that there's some little deposits of white stuff on the rifling. Not sure what it was. Could have been bits of swab stuck on bits of lead in the rifling. Could have been Teflon from the Teflon coated ammunition that was being used. I'm not really sure, but I put in the time, a little bit of extra elbow grease, and here's a shot of the new cleaned and polished bore. It's not 100%, but it is far better. I like the center right here, where the reflection of the light is bouncing back and forth in between the barrel and causing that holographic design. It gets down here where the bolt is again, and look at that eyeball looking at you. I paused and I took a screenshot here. That was just one treat. If you've made it this far, I humbly thank you and welcome any feedback in the comments below, as this helps me better my channel. Please consider subscribing to stay in tune to new content, and as always, stay safe, everyone.
What's that laugh for?
Because he rolled down the hill.